All right, let's talk about some art movements of the 19th century. Maybe, if it wants to work. All right, so let's talk about Romanticism. So we already talked about Romanticism a little bit when we talk about conservatism. So we're romanticizing events that happen. We're romanticizing the past, or we're romanticizing a present event to make people feel strongly one way or another about it. So this is something that has bias, art with bias. So a lot of romantic art is part of this intellectual movement. There's also romantic writing as well. And it stressed reason as the chief means for discovering the truth. So you look at the image and you're like, wow, that makes me feel this way. I must feel this way with purpose. So therefore, I must investigate this truth. And it emphasizes feelings, emotion, and imagination. So let's look at some romantic art. So here we have Caspar David Friedrich. This is a man, he's on the precipice of the new world. It's supposed to make you feel as though that he is overlooking this valley. This is fog here. And this is an American artist, and he's looking and he's wondering what's beyond the fog. It's supposed to be glorifying what these explorers, these American explorers, were doing. So you're looking at this man as he looks out on this beautiful scenery, trying to spark wonder and imagination as to what the West is going to be like. So romantic art makes you want to do something. A lot of romantic artists depicted wartime scenes in favor of one side or the other, showing like glory and gallant fighting. And, typically they don't focus on bloodshed, they focus on the victor to make you feel a certain way. All right, next art movement. Realism, the real. Most often used by those who disagree with Romanticism. So, let's not look at the pretty stuff. Let's look at the real stuff. And Romanticism is kind of like older type artwork where we only focus on certain things. Well, realism is like people doing real life business. It's without idealization. And it emphasizes the everyday. Because we don't have photographs and typically paintings took a long time, realism is not something that you're going to see until the mid 1800s widespread throughout Europe. There was realist type paintings that came out of the Dutch Netherlands during the 1600s, but that's a different story for a different day. So let's look at some realists. So this is Jules Breton, and this is The Weeders from 1868, and it's just people in a field. Did these people have this painting commissioned? Absolutely not. But is this what was really happening on someone's land? Oh, yeah. And you can see that they're out there at the break of day. The moon is still here. The sun is rising. It's just not glorified. These people are working hard. They don't look beautiful. It's just their real life every day. This is symbolism. Sometimes you'll hear symbolism called surrealism, and it's an abstract way of looking at things to represent ideas or qualities, and if I can click on this properly, and it emphasizes things that can't be touched. So a lot of times symbolism looks like a dream. This is Jose Roosevelt. A lot of the symbolistic art came out of Spain. Pablo Picasso is not a symbolist art. He's an abstract artist. Sometimes that gets confused. But what it is it's supposed to be different symbols that mean different things to people. So you might be expressing an opinion that's controversial without expressing it plainly. If you're distrusting the government, like knowledge is life, maybe this is about access to education. You can see there's a woman's body here, an arm. A lot of times they have little treasures built into the symbolistic art. Impressionism. Everyone knows Impressionism. Everyone loves Impressionism. Impressionism is a movement that began in France, and it was using paint dabs or strokes to create images of a landscape to capture light. Impressionism was actually invented when Monet, he was on a train, and the train's not going very fast. It was probably going only about 20 miles an hour, but he saw the world like whooshing past him, and he was like, wow, we should capture this with painting. So he started creating these distorted looking pieces that you had to step away from. Just like when you're on the train, if you're looking really close out the window, you don't really see much. But if you step away, if you're walking down the aisle and you look out the window, you're actually able to capture more of the scenery. So that's where this originated. And it's supposed to be a natural beauty of the landscape. It typically has pastels. This is actually Monet's wife, and they're on the cliffs, like over by Normandy in France, and his son. But it's like you can almost hear the wind wishing through the dress, through the veil that his wife is wearing. Post-Impressionism, last art movement, is a reaction to Impressionism, and it's more of an abstract take of Impressionism that uses thick brushstrokes and landscapes with unnatural colors, geometric forms, and arbitrary kind of like expressions of what's going on. So here's an image from Van Gogh, who was a very famous post-impressionist painter, who you can see like the glow of the lantern here is just like unnaturally yellow. The sky is deep blue. The buildings are not black, but to him they are. Van Gogh used a variety of different colors, like he intermixed blues and pinks and reds and portraits of people. On the ground here you can see the blue, and then you get orange on the pavers. I mean, that's probably not the color in which they were, but it's just an abstract look at it. And that's art, my friends.